I was born and raised in Athens, Greece, and I studied business and economics. First job out of university was as a consultant with McKinsey. Why did I choose consulting? I thought it was, I loved all the case studies and the idea of solving different problems in different industries. So I started at McKinsey in the Athens office in Greece. The fact that I could travel and work in different places was an added plus. Like, I didn't realize it really until after I joined, but then I'm like, okay, this is an amazing opportunity to explore the world and get to know different places. That was very exciting to me, so I tried to maximize, let's say, my time there in terms of travel. So I total stayed about 6.5 years with this company. About 5 of those years, I chose to travel around the world. So I did projects in many places in Europe, in Africa, Middle East, Asia, the US, and all throughout these travels, I was really loving it. The fact that I could, get to work in different geographies, meet different people, fascinated by the different cultures, and I was staying typically months at a time. So these projects lasted from 3 weeks a month up to a year at one time. And the accommodation of choice for the consultant was really the hotel, because that was convenient, easy. You could fly in, fly out, Monday to Friday. Most weekends I actually ended up staying because I really enjoyed during the week was a lot of work, like 10, 12-hour work days, and then sometimes you have to work after dinner. It was pretty the consulting kind of lifestyle. So I chose to stay over the weekends to kind of really get to know the cities and have a little bit of fun and explore. And I didn't love that experience in terms of the hotel because, it was very limited space, not a lot of privacy. You had to eat hotel food every day, which was great. Don't get me wrong, they put in very nice hotels, but still, I miss kind of the home environment. So I tried to rent an apartment. I realized in many cities that was not really feasible for a few months because, remember, that was back in between 2006 and 2013. And what I realized, so it was very difficult. Landlords don't want to give you, don't rent for a few months. In many markets, in most cities, most of the apartments are unfurnished. So you're not realistic to buy furniture and do all of that stuff. You have some serviced apartments in some cities, but it wasn't great experience. And it wasn't really easy to get that, and it was more like a hotel-like environment. So that was actually the problem that I faced, and I always wanted to start a company. I'm always fascinated by kind of building something new. My father also has his own company. My mother was an independent, kind of working as a lawyer, having her own, a notary, having her own office. So I was always fascinated by that, and I found this problem that was pretty big. At the time, Airbnb was also picking up. So I kind of got a confirmation that, look, this is something that actually works, at least for leisure travel. So I saw that there is a gap. And I thought what would be my ideal experience? I would say I want to go to a city. I want to be able to rent something online. I wanted to know that, it would look, first of all, great, but it would be at a great neighborhood, very nice location. And then I could have service. Something doesn't work, I could fix it. So kind of hotel-like service, but get a very cool apartment in a great side of town. So that was kind of the idea. And, I'm always I love efficiency, saving time. I just, I'm a person that don't like, I hate to say it, but I don't like really to queue. I don't like these delays. So I think most people don't like to waste time. Of course, sometimes you have to do it. So I think that was kind of in my mind, and I started to say, okay, maybe I can create a product that I would use, and that would be a great solution for other people, because I thought there would be consulting with other people that want to have the service. Because I love the traveling part, I love the exploration, moving to a new city, and that was kind of the origination of the idea for Blueground. McKinsey, 100%. I was not one of these founders with this huge vision from day one, and I wanted to change the world. was quite the opposite, to be honest. Like even though so as my parents had started their own businesses, but still were not in any way kind of wealthy. So it's like more middle class. So I had this great job at McKinsey, like making good money, a career coming ahead. So it was pretty sticky in that way, right? So when I said I want to start this company, and I didn't have the courage to say, okay, like let's quit my job. Like, so it kind of started in parallel with one of my friends leading one of my friends was co-founders, one of my best friends. So we started that company in parallel, first focused most on the corporate side. So working with large businesses and enterprises. So we did that first kind of couple of projects while I was still employed, even though like I was, there's no freelance. You have to work like 12 hours, 5 days a week. So it was mostly the weekends and most of my friends leading that piece. And then, but at that point, like I got a significant promotion. I became a project manager, and then it's actually it's customary to be able to get like some time off. Then I get a kind of sabbatical. So I took like 3 months, and I allocated. I tell them very openly, like I have this side project. I would just want to allocate 3 months. I'm not sure like whether it's going to be something I will be doing. I think it's going to be like something temporary. That was the idea at the beginning. I thought that it could be a side thing. I could continue with my career, and so but then when I started working for 3 months, and like I just realized how I love building a business, and I loved that process. It was, the experience with McKinsey was great, super smart people, different experiences, but for me personally, that was like the transformative period that I said, okay, I definitely want to build a business. Like I'm 100% sure. I'm passionate about the product, and I know that this is going to make me happier. So then I decided to quit my job, and looking back, saying this is what I want to do. I spent quite a few months there. I put all my savings into it. I got a small loan from my mother in the early days. Then at some point, we did run out of cash. The business was doing well, but we did run out of cash. So I had to go back to the workforce. That's where I got the job in Seoul, actually. In Samsung. So I had a few friends working over there, Samsung. One of the motivations was also the international experience, but also the compensation at the time was important because I was able to, I recruited more people for the company. So I was able to kind of like use some of that compensation to grow the business further. And then in 2015, we actually raised our first funding round. I finished my project in Samsung. I went back full time in the business. And throughout this experience, like coming from a steady career to running out of cash, going back to the market, like moving to another continent, it still was super exciting for me. I have to be honest. Like it was less stressful than working at the consulting company. Again, it sounds very weird. I know it doesn't make sense for most people, but this is what because the excitement was so. But anyway, so to make a long story short, so I went back, and then after the first funding round, I started already during my time in Korea developing this vision that this actually can be because a very big thing, because it wasn't just the individuals, the consultants and the enterprise and the executives. There was a lot of people that were staying with us, even some of our first guests, like for 6 months, a year, and they said, "Look, we love this idea. We love the fact that everything is furnished, great locations, great product. We can rent very easily. We can stay as much as we want." And that's kind of like something that it became much clearer to me that this is a bigger thing. This is the evolution of apartment rental, at least not for everyone, but for a segment of people that, between, let's say, 2025 and 4045, depending when some people never settle down, right? Depending when you settle down, with a broad stroke. I don't think there is a reason, if you want to move to different cities, different neighborhoods, to own furniture. There is a reason to go through the traditional route of except if you love interior design, if there's some people that want to have their own stuff. So I'm not saying it's for everyone, but there's some people, like I'm one of them, that I value more flexibility and the being more minimalistic and having the option to move around much more. It's a very important parameter for me. So for these people, which is a large segment, I believe, this can be the mainstream way of renting. And that's why it came to me that this will be much bigger, and it's not just a corporate housing thing. And it's actually proven to be the case. So that gradually, that vision was being developed, but then we're getting wins, we're doing well, we're becoming more profitable in our first market, raising capital, expanding to Istanbul first and then in Dubai. This has been successful. And then, my confidence was built gradually as we're getting more and more wins, more and more visualizing what I was thinking coming to reality. So I think that's kind of the transition. And then, with that, I was starting to read more, get more mentors. I think that's how I kind of like develop, it's a difficult journey, but it's also very important. The biggest surprise is Athens, the first market that we launched, because when we did the ranking, Athens was ranked 84 out of 100. The biggest surprise was, I think what I mentioned in the beginning also, that this is not just a product for the corporate traveler. Like, we have an average stay of about 7 months right now in Athens. We have 1,000 apartments.
Yeah.
Performance has been as great as I've ever been. People love the product. Our main problem is that we don't have enough apartments. We have more demand. So I think, yes, I had it in the back of my mind, like, okay, this will be a product not just for it's people want to live that flexible. We see people like even moving from season to season, being the south of Athens in the summer, moving to the north in the winter, kind of like, because there are also differences. There are some people love to be close by the beach in the summer, so it's south in Athens. So I think that was a surprise. It was that was kind of the vision, but like coming into reality in such a way was great, and in that sense, surprise. In other markets, I would say, I cannot think of any. I think that how different real estate landscape, it's also been a surprise. Like in the US, I knew it was more organized, but so much more advanced. A lot of things are like happening, even though people in the US still complain about how difficult it is to rent an apartment. It is, but I don't think they have an idea how more difficult it is in Europe. So I think like that the difference was surprising. I think that's all I have to say for this one. I think for me that this disruptor, even on the build, like even on like the thing about startups, right? A lot of people, you say disruptor, it's kind of a good thing, but also like, okay, someone is being disrupted, so someone is losing, which is not necessarily the case all the time, right? So, and I'll mention what I think about Blueground, for example, like when it comes to life. But overall, I think a disruptor is really, first and foremost, is a builder, like someone that builds something, and the idea is to build something better, right? Better being more efficient, faster. And that's why clients or people choose to go with that new entry. So I think that's kind of like, it's embedded in the term, but it doesn't come across when you use that term.
Yeah.
And I think it has also an aspect to, the product is one thing, right? But let's say Blueground, for example, like it's, easier way to rent an apartment, faster, great design, consistent quality, etc. But also it's about the organization you're building on the back of that, right? So you're disrupting ways of working. You want to bring a new, fresh approach in to how you recruit the team, how you develop the team, and I think that's been key for me, because I didn't mention in the origin story, but I also thought, like, I love McKinsey. It was great. At the same time, I didn't feel like I could be myself, right? It has a very strong culture. So one of the things that I wanted, and this is a very rare occasion, you see me wear a shirt, like this is probably 1 out of 100 days, but one of the things that so Blueground will say, we make people feel at home wherever they choose to live. That's the vision. That's outward and inward. So how do we make sure we create the condition for people to be themselves, right? They work on, and of course, it's not for everyone. We have specific values, ways of working, but we want to kind of like, that's one aspect that, personality should come across and people should be able to be themselves. So I think there is and then there's the concept of like stock option, ownership, and kind of improving like on the benefit side, giving, for example, we give free stays to our people, to the team. We try to kind of encourage people. We have like a program of everyone can work from anywhere they want, full flexibility. So these are all things that are also embedded as part of disruption. It has to be both ways, external and internal, in my view, and it should be for the better. It should not be just different. It should be for the better. I know that's a generic statement, what is better, but at least for some people it's better, right?
Yeah.
And so and it doesn't cause a lot of harm for others. So I think in our case, it's when you think about it, like if you look at the elevation of the apartment rental, right, you're really not negatively disrupting someone because you still rent the same apartment. It comes on furnished, you do it online, it's easier. So you're willing to pay for the time that you get back and for the quality consistency that you get. Now, yeah, so I think this is one way of thinking about it. But yeah, this is like a few thoughts on disruptor. And yeah, I think we should add something positive to it because it typically has a negative connotation, but I think it has a lot of good. PropTech is being used. It's an interesting sector because we've seen some innovation, a number of areas that you probably know it much better than me since you as part of this and you're talking to people that are been living and breathing and looking at different places. I think we've seen, innovation in real estate, online marketplaces, Airbnb, obviously, broader prop tech, travel tech, a lot of SaaS, software as a service products coming in. And now we see some more vertically integrated models. Compass, Blueground is one of them. Obviously, smart home, the iBuyer is a big thing. So I think we're seeing a lot of innovation. But it's always a little bit more challenging, with the exception of some places like the marketplace, because you have that physical aspect that it makes it, like in most cases, a tech-enabled service, or if it's a pure tech, it's just like enabling the people that do the work at the real estate side. So I think merging these two, and combining the physical and the digital environment is going to be the most important trend in the future. And it's going to be more challenging, but it's also like super exciting in terms of innovation. So I think a lot of people have said, prop tech, like we've seen, companies like, for example, like WeWork, like they say, okay, is it do you have technology, or other companies like, they haven't necessarily created a lot of value or perceived that, even though that I think WeWork is a product it's very useful and we've used it and we know it can be great. I think it's people are quick to dismiss that, the connection between the tech and the physical space, and I think it's going to become more and more evident going forward. And I think that's an exciting space to be in. And so it's I think that's an area that people will spend more and more time. At some point, these two will kind of merge. I mean, not fully merge, obviously, in the physical term, but like you have, metaverse will be coming, AR, VR coming. Like how these are going to do. Like now you do, do a virtual tour and you're going to rent the apartment without going there, but then you're there. So all of these things like are just really exciting. I think it's going to take us like 10, 20 years to see real impact in some of those. But we're just excited to be part of this. And and it's great that you and Billy and you guys are looking into it and studying in it, and excited to see what are the outcomes and getting to learn more about it.